Welcome back to another EToH video. Previously, we went over all of the insane towers, but today, I will be explaining every extreme tower in EToH. Enjoy the video! Once again, the name at the top next to the tower name is the person who wrote the explanation, so this time, Catacube wrote Tower of Astral Eclipse, which is a baseline extreme located in Zone 8 made by Kloy, Zabra, and Template. It was added on April 15th, 2023. It actually has 13 floors, but you don't need to go to 3 of them, making you only have to do 10 floors. It is a wacky frame tower where you can pick a path, yellow being more punishing and easier, but blue is way less punishing but harder. The tower is not sight readable. You would definitely need a practice run before it. In terms of punishment, it's actually pretty punishing, as past F10 and the final stretch, you will fail, or not fail. If you fail, your run will end, and there are some unsafe parts on floor 2 and floor 9. The largest choke points in the tower include the final stretch, as it is pretty long compared to the rest of the tower, and it is netted once you get to purple though, so after you get to purple, basically beat the tower. And it's about 15 to 25 minutes actually on most runs, but if you're a true speedrunner like me, you can get a time of like 11 minutes or below, but the EToH hint says under 20 minutes. The hardest floor is floor 10, and the final stretch also counts, and the easiest is floor 1. The difficulties are for sure consistent, except if you consider the paths, because one of the blue floors are terrifying. Towers recommended to do before this are Tower of Polychromatic Zero, Tower of Hollow Reformations, Tower of Inevitable Failure, and Tower of Curved Descent. Towers recommended to do after are Tower of Bloodthirsty Kinos, Tower of Astronomically Aimless Annoyances, and Tower of Hopeless Hell. Or you could jump to a higher extreme, but if I were you, I would stay in the low-mid extreme territory. And yeah, that's Tower of Astral Eclipse. Tower of Frightening and Confusing Trials is a bottom extreme tower located in Ring 9 made by Gibble Big Mama and Imaginary Foxboy. It was added on April 22nd, 2021. It was originally insane until it got moved up to extreme recently and has 0 client objects whatsoever. It is an ascending tower that uses weird gimmicks, but surprisingly all those gimmicks are purist. In terms of sight readability, it is pretty hard due to the gimmicks, so you probably want to practice beforehand. And in terms of punishment, it's actually pretty forgiving on the inside, but once you get to floor 10, which is majority outside, you're going to have a hard time with that. And the hardest floor, speaking of floor 10, is floor 10, and the easiest floor is floor 1. The floor difficulties are actually pretty consistent. Towers that I recommend to do before this include Tower of Curved Descent, Tower of Polychromatic Zero, and Tower of ToHH Time. Towers that I recommend to do after this are Tower of Astral Eclipse, Tower of Bloodthirsty Kinos, and Tower of Paneling Barricades. And if you want, jump to Tower of Hopeless Hell, because it has somewhat similar gameplay. And that's it for Tower of Frightening and Confusing Trials. ToFaCT. Tower of Bloodthirsty Kinos is a bottom extreme located in Ring 9 made by Disconcerted. It was added on April 22nd, 2021. The final stretch uses the same music from a quite famous Geometry Dash level called Kinos by Nepesta, and the badge description is Nepesta's reaction when he verified it. Legendary! Tower is an ascending tower, where basically the whole time you're on a pole. Yeah, you're just climbing up a pole, basically. In terms of sight readability, it is actually pretty sight readable, but you'll probably want to do a practice run and make sure to practice the final stretch, because it is over the void. Well, not the void, but it'll end your run. In terms of punishment, it's actually not too punishing at all besides the final stretch, because if you fall on the final stretch, as said, go all the way to floor 1. Largest choke points in the tower include the final stretch, and the hardest floor is floor 10, and easiest floor is floor 5. So pretty much practice that final stretch, because it's the hardest part of the tower. Towers to do before this include Tower of Astral Eclipse, Tower of Polychromatic Zero, and Tower of Hollow Reformations. I would say, Tower of Thinning Layers will definitely help with this tower, because I'm pretty sure this tower is mostly jank or purist, and TOTL has some of that. And towers recommended to do after this are Astronomically Aimless Annoyances, Hopeless Hell, or Suffering Outside. I did not say Tower of, but whatever. And yeah, that's Kinos by Nepesta Tower. Tower of Paneling Barricades is a bottom low extreme made by Urchin. It is located in Zone 9 and was added on October 12th, 2024. The tower used to be called Paneling Barricades, where the first letters of each word were flipped. The frame resembles a barricade wall. Similar to Tower Suffering Outside in Ring 8, all the gameplay is outside. The tower's progression is like every other tower for the 500,000th time. Yeah, Mr. Swan's pretty tired of saying that. The length of the tower is longer than 20 minutes, so please leave and don't play this tower because you're gonna have the time of your life. Alright, I guess Mr. Swan just doesn't like the tower. The sight readability of the tower is quite simple. Still practice the tower though, because it might not be as easy as it looks. The punishment of the tower is actually pretty low. There's a random soft walk on floor 2, and it is the only one on the whole tower, but don't worry, you'll be fine. The tower has button progress on every floor, but most fails can send you to floor 1. One cool thing in the tower is that you get a shield to avoid kill brick turrets, so make sure you use it at all times. The kill bricks damage really fast. Also, please practice the final stretch and the last jump, and know exactly what to do, or you're going to fall like a dumbass. Alright, MSL. The floor difficulties are incredibly inconsistent, as the floors range from mid remorseless to high extreme. My personal easiest floor is floor 1, hardest is floor 10. Towers recommended to do before include Tower of Astro Eclipse, Tower of Frightening and Confusing Trials, and Tower of Bloodthirsty Kinos, and after, do Tower of Astronomically Aimless Annoyances, Tower of Hopeless Hell, and Tower of Strategic Mechanics. Tower of Astronomically Aimless Annoyances is a low extreme tower located in Zone 4 and was made by Kronku. It was added on the 18th of January 2021. This is the second tower in a trilogy of towers made by Kronku, the first being Tower of Orientating Oscillating Opinions, and the third being Tower of Jokundaguli, which is not an EToH. This ascension-based tower has permanent safety nets at floors 5, 7, 8, and 10. The abundance of safety nets may make this tower seem easier on the surface, but floor 10's soft walk as well as the final dissection lead to instant death if failed. This tower is not too hard to sight read, but practice is recommended, especially on the soft walk and the final dice. Large choke points in the tower include floors 4 and 10 because of their large punishment for failing. The tower is pretty long, being 30 plus minutes, but attempting this as a new hardest could see runs lasting as long as 1 to 2 hours due to loop failing the safety nets. Personally, the hardest floors are 5 and 9, with 8 and 10 being not far behind. The easiest floor is 7, as it mostly consists of mini challenges you have to complete to move on. One thing I'd like to note before grinding this tower is the quality of floor 1. Most people, including me, don't enjoy this floor due to its surprising difficulty and weird gameplay, but the rest of the tower is a lot more fun, so I suggest to keep going. I would recommend doing a lower end extreme before this, like Tower of Astro Eclipse, but jumping into this tower as your first extreme is definitely possible. After this, I would recommend doing a low to mid extreme, like Tower of Hopeless Hell or Tower of the Dripping Amalgam. This will help in balancing all of your skills before trying to beat a terrifying tower. And that's Tower of Astronomically Aimless Annoyances. Tower of Hopeless Hell is a low mid extreme made by Doozer. It is located in Zone 3 and was added on March 15th, 2020. The tower's theme is very depressing, with the design being black and white with prominent red sad faces over the frame. The music also follows the theme, with its soundtrack consisting of sad or eerie music. The tower's progression is like every other tower, an ascending tower. Well, not every other tower, but most other towers. The tower's gameplay is all purist. It is the hardest purist tower in the game. Well, you don't count semi-purism, which is like just kill bricks. Not one single quiet object in sight. The sight readability, wow, I could not pronounce that. Sight readability of this tower is pretty simple. If you're doing this as a new hardest, which I did, please obviously practice well. I can follow up with that advice, that is correct. Although, there are a lot of skips. If you are good at like lag high jumps or stuff like that and you want to skip it, go ahead, but if you want to do the whole tower legit, you're going to need some more practice. You will need strategies for some jumps because they are complicated. There is jank parts of this tower too. For punishment, it's pretty basic. You just fall to whatever floor you land on. You really can't fall to floor 1 unless you make a very dumb mistake. The floor difficulties are kind of consistent, the easiest floor being floor 7, and the hardest being floor 9. The difficulties range from high insane to low mid extreme, and it's a pretty balanced tower actually. Before, I would recommend you at least have tower thinning layers done, because that's what I jumped from. And you should probably do ToFaCT 2, Tower Bloodthirsty Kinos, and ToAAA. And after, do Tower of Strategic Mechanics, Tower of Terrifying Beauty, and if you want to jump to a terror like I did, I jumped to Tower of Alien Radiance, you could try. I wouldn't recommend it though. And yeah, that's a sad tower. Sad, depressing, popular, extreme tower. Yeah. Tower of Wicked Fortress is a low mid-extreme tower located in Ashen Tower Works made by Dojin Gamer. It was added on March 3rd, 2024. This tower is meant to be in Zone 8, but then the Tower of Astro Eclipse beat it by a landslide. It is an ascending tower, and in terms of sight readability, you need to practice for it to have a chance of winning. In terms of punishment, it's actually pretty forgiving with the net on floor 6, even though it has a lot of insta-kill spinners. Not insta-kill. Sorry to scare you. Kill brick spinners. Large choke points in the tower include the large spinner on floor 10, and the tower is less than 20 minutes in length. The hardest floor is floor 10 at Terrifying, and the easiest is floor 2 at Mid Insane. The floor difficulties are not consistent whatsoever. Towers that I recommend to do before this tower are Tower of Astro Eclipse, Tower of Bloodthirsty Kinos, and Tower of Astronomically Aimless Annoyances. If you want, you could jump from Insane, but I don't think you should. Towers that I recommend to do after this are Tower of Strategic Mechanics, Tower of the Dripping Amalgam, and Tower of Externalizing Insanity. You could probably go for a Terrifying now, but still probably stay in Extreme territory. That's the safest option. And yeah, that's a Fortress Tower. Alright, on to this tower. Tower at Terrifying Beauty is a low mid extreme tower located in Ring 7 made by Dispensable Array. It was added on the 25th of January 2020. This is the only tower in the game with 2 sets of barriers instead of the normal one that every other tower has. This tower is an ascending tower, and the main gimmick is that the wind pad is at the start of the tower. So to get to the wind pad, on floor 10 you have to press a button that lasts 7 seconds, and you need to make your way back down to floor 1 and touch the wind pad. It is known to be a very big choke point, and where a lot of people like fling out or something, but yeah, it's pretty hard to do that. In terms of sight readability, it's actually pretty sight readable, but you would need a practice run. In terms of punishment, it's actually pretty normal, but the floor 6 insta-kill spinner and that aforementioned floor 10 thing can also end your run. We already mentioned one of the largest choke points, and the tower is less than 20 minutes in length. The hardest floor is floor 5, and the easiest is either floor 1 or floor 4. The floor difficulties are not too consistent. Towers that I recommend to do before are Tower of Bloodthirsty Kinos, Tower of Astronomically Aimless Annoyances, and Tower of Wicked Fortress. Towers that I recommend to do after are Tower of Suffering Outside, Tower of the Dripping Amalgam, and Tower of Externalizing Insanity. Now you could probably go for Terrifying, maybe Tower of Frightening Nightmares, but I don't know. I would stay in Extreme still if I were you. Tower of Strategic Mechanics is a mid-extreme made by Sielzolski. It is located in Ring 6 and was added on March 17th, 2019. The tower's progression is quite creative for the time. It shares the double tower structure from Tower of Inception in Ring 4, which Tower of Strategic Mechanics was slightly inspired by, the outer frame being ascending and the inner frame being descending. The sight readability is actually pretty simple, but you should probably practice B-side or the descending part. The punishment in this tower is pretty interesting. Every A-side floor has basic punishment, besides floor 7 of A, that has a short soft lock section. But the entire B-side is all soft locks, so be careful. What was I about to say? Except floor 4 of B-side, which has a net. The tower's length is 30 minutes long, so try not to get too bored while playing it. The floor difficulties in the tower are somewhat consistent, with the hardest floor being floor 6 of B-side, and the easiest being floor 5 of B-side. Recommended towers to do before include Paneling Barricades, Astronomically Aimless Annoyances, and MSL. You put Strategic Mechanics as a tower to do before Tower Strategic. Okay. Basically, what he's trying to say is do a low extreme, and then after do a higher extreme. Maybe like Tower Suffering Outside or Tower of the Dripping Amalgam. Wow, MSL. I couldn't believe you would make a mistake in your explanation. Good job. Alright, yeah, that's a strategically tower. Yeah. Genuine question. As an EToH player, do you go outside? No, actually. Do you go outside? Are you sure? Are you sure you go outside? Hey, but at least if you don't, in this tower, you will be able to. Tower of Suffering Outside is a mid-extreme made by Azazel. It is located in Ring 8 and was added on July 8th, 2020. The tower has the largest, biggest, highest, whatever difficulty change, with it starting at Remorseless and moving up to Insane and then all the way up to Extreme. As the tower name says, the tower is all outside. See, I'm just not going to mention the tower progression at this point because I'm tired of doing the same message over and over again. Alright, we get it, Mr. Swan. The tower sight readability can be easy, but also can be confusing. I suggest going for a practice run before trying this tower. The length of the tower is longer than 20 minutes, so try not to fall asleep like a bum named Quagsire, who somehow fell asleep like a moron on Citadel of Heights and Depths. Alright, he's going really off topic. The punishment of the tower, yeah, all fails will pretty much send you to floor 1. But you can't lose your run. You get one set of button progress on each floor, and that's pretty good. Yeah, you probably need that, and the floor difficulties are not too consistent. Hardest is floor 5, easiest is floor 1. Before, do a Tower Wicked Fortress, Tower Strategic Mechanics. If you want to jump from a lower extreme, like even Astro Eclipse, that should be fine. And to do after, go for a Tower of Externalizing Insanity, Tower of the Dripping Amalgam, or you could honestly go to a Terrifying now. I wouldn't blame you. Speaking of Drippy Tower, Tower of the Dripping Amalgam is a mid-extreme made by Tree Knighter. It is located in Zone 6 and was added on May 13th, 2022. The tower's progression is like every other tower, a basic, regular ascending tower. God, I'm so tired of repeating this. The tower's sight readability, yeah, you're not sight reading this. Go practice it. And the tower's length is less than 20 minutes, but you can still loot fill for quite a long time. The punishment in the tower, you really can't lose your run, but the button progress will help you a lot. The location you activate the button progress is not like Tower of Uncanny Agony or Tower of Polychromatic Zero. You do have to do 1 to 5 legit for the first time and 6 to 8 for the second time. Then after that, you just beat the tower. The floor difficulties are really consistent as they just range from bottom extreme to mid-high extreme. Also, this is off topic, but kind of on topic. You're most likely going to have a good time. Don't be like this Nick called Donetta, who calls this objectively good tower worse than Tower Paneling Barricades and Tower Terrifying Beauty just because he's bad at the game. Everyone put an F in the chat for Donetta. Alright, anyways, recommended towers to do before include Tower of Hopeless Hell. I don't know why it took me so long to say that. Tower Strategic Mechanics, Tower Suffering Outside, and yeah, pretty much just anything below its difficulty. And after, do a Terrifying. Do a Terrifying. Please do a Terrifying. Please do a Terrifying. You don't need to do the ones after. If you want to do Externalizing Sandy, go ahead, but I think you should do a Terrifying. Tower of Blast Power is a mid-high extreme tower located in Zone 10 and was made by Voltage Bit and Cosmics. It was added on April 5th, 2025, and follows the player trying to land on the moon Lunarax. This is an ascending tower with more client object-based modern gameplay, which fits well into Zone 10. It is one of the most modern towers in the game. It has decent button progress, and it's not too difficult to sight read if you are better at the game. So if you're worse at the game, probably practice. And I think you should practice either way. It is recommended to practice 9 and the final stretch because they are the most punishing and difficult sections. The tower is considered long, being around 20 minutes in length. Floor 9 is the hardest to do since it's punishing outside, which can send you back to floor 1. Floor 1 is also the easiest floor and gets consistent very quickly. I recommend doing an easier extreme like Tower of Astronomically Aimless Annoyances, Tower of Paneling Barricades, or Tower of Wicked Fortress before this tower. Doing one of these towers before also helps with learning more gimmicky gameplay. After Tower of Blast Power, I would recommend going for a first Terrifying like Tower of Fractured Memories or Tower of Complexity and Volatility. Statement is, go for a Terrifying. Anyways, that's Blast Power! Okay, I'm gonna be real. I don't know why I like saying Blast Power so much. It just sounds pretty cool. Anyways, Tower of Externalizing Insanity is a peak extreme made by Crimsoneth. It is located in Ring 8 and was added on July 8th, 2020. This is going to be the 9,875th time I'm saying how the tower's progression is. It is an ascending tower. This tower is 20 minutes, so make sure you have enough free time and a stable internet. You do not want to disconnect, especially with that good progress. The gameplay is mostly purist. The only gameplay that involves client objects is the timer on floor 5, load jump on floor 7, and the spinning kill break teleporter on floor 10. The sight readability of this tower is extremely hard. Doesn't matter if it's new hardest or not. Over practice the tower, I'm telling you. If you don't practice, well then you're just going to loop fail over and over again. You don't want that. The gameplay is much harder than you think. Moving on to the punishment of the tower, there is really no punishment besides the fact that you can fail the last jump. The tower gives you a full net on floor 6, the 4 islands after floor 9, and floor 10. If you somehow fall off one of the 4 islands like a dumbass, then boo-hoo, that's too bad. The difficulties of the tower range from bottom extreme to low terrifying. The easiest floor is floor 1, and the hardest is floor 8. Recommended towers to do before include Tower of Suffering Outside, Tower of the Dripping Amalgam, and don't do Blast Power. I would say do Hopeless Hell because it's good purist practice. And then after, I'm not even going to give specific names. Please go for a Terrifying. You could go for Alien Radiance if you want, Friendly Nightmares, Impossible Movement. I would not say go for Inception just yet, or very high Terries, because those are but definitely go for a Terry. And yeah, that's it for the extremes. This was I think shorter than it was shorter than the insane video. So yeah, Terry's are next. Thanks for watching, and peace.